reason for this emergency press conference is about a sinister plot against the southeast of Nigeria. And incidentally, Edo State has joined the southeast among the states that have been marginalized. So, welcome on board, Edo State. Edo State and southeast have been excluded in the loan package that the federal government has successfully railroaded through the clients, the incompetent, and the ineffective Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, headed by a Northerner, Dr. Ahmed Lawan. You are going to get the speech, so I'll just summarize why we're here. Everybody in Nigeria knows that there is a plan to borrow 22.7 billion. I think it's supposed to be 29.7 billion or so. But the first tranche of 22.7 billion has been approved by the Senate and is imminently going to be approved by the Federal House of Representatives tomorrow, because the House of Representatives Speaker has told every Nigerian that he was not elected to the House to confront President Muhammadu Buhari, and the Senate President said whatever the President sends to them will be approved. That is how far the Senate has deteriorated to a level of a stooge of the executive arm of government. But that one is not even the concern of the Human Rights Writers Association of Nigeria. Our concern is that over 60 million Nigerians will be excluded. All the southeast of Nigerian states, never mind that the southeast states are so few in number, but the population of the southeast is monumental. The southeast is almost everywhere. Southeast is not just that tiny geographical part of Nigeria. You know, southeast also means some Igbo-speaking people who are everywhere in the world, including Abuja, will not be part of those that will benefit from the humongous loan that the Nigerian government, our government, the Southeast is part of Nigeria, no matter what anybody will say. It's part of Nigeria. But Southeast has been excluded, and nobody is saying anything. And tomorrow, the House is going to confirm what the Senate, the iniquity the Senate has done. We say this must not be allowed to happen, and we have made recommendations. Unfortunately, we have a set of governors in the southeast that I do not even know how we can describe them, but I can describe them in the popular way that a lot of people in the southeast used to see them. They see them like people who do not represent their interests, but I want to see them like people who are supposed to be political leaders of that region. And since they are political leaders of that region, they have to take steps to ensure that their people are carried along in this proposed $22.7 billion loan scheme. In the event that Mr. President feels that the Southeast must not be included, the Saudi governor should go to Supreme Court immediately to get the Supreme Court to make a far-reaching affirmation that if you do not benefit from the loan, you must not be obliged to pay back the loan. It is unconstitutional, it is illegal, it is unfair, it is primitive, it is discriminatory on the part of Mr. President to exclude a region of the country in the credit scheme that the government has already applied for all over the world. Don't get us wrong, we do not even support the fact that Nigeria is going about cap in hand begging for loans everywhere. The Human Rights Writers Association of Nigeria is absolutely against that kind of tendency. We're against it because we believe that the moment you begin to pick up loans from here and there, the inevitable consequences is that you're going to be, the citizens of Nigeria will be slaves. They will become like slaves because they are owing. And it's not just you that I'm seeing, all of you that I'm seeing now, or myself, that are going to pay back this loan. Some of us may not even be alive when the loan will be due for repayment, 40 years. Some of us, you may be, any of us who is sitting down here, who will be alive in the next 40 years, especially if you are my age group, and you're going to be around in the next 40 years, I think you deserve maybe 2 hefty white elephants to be killed for you to celebrate that God loves you so much. So this is something that is going to last a lifetime, you know, and the government is planning to take on this loan, and they're excluding a part of the country. We say this is totally unacceptable. This must never happen. This is apartheid. This is apartheid. This is apartheid, you know, because what is the meaning of apartheid? Apartheid is a discriminatory policy of government that deliberately excludes any section of the country from benefiting from any project or any policy that is going to be put in place. It's not just in South Africa that we saw apartheid. Apartheid has not ended. There is still apartheid in Nigeria. It's very active, particularly in the last 5 years of this administration. We have witnessed a lot of apartheid in terms of selection of Nigerians into strategic security positions, the service chiefs, the police chiefs, the whole internal security mechanisms. It's not even the one we're talking about now. But what we're saying is this must not be allowed to happen. And while we blame Mr. President for this, we also blame the Southeast political leadership. The senators who shamelessly address the media, claiming, some of them claim, the former deputy senate president, we saw him on TV telling the media, because the media confronted him. Where were you guys when that votes was about to take place? He said he went for a national assignment. And we asked, what national assignment? Were you elected by your zone to come to Abuja for any national assignment? No, that is not the reason why you were elected. You were elected as a senator, you were elected as a House of Rep member to represent that tiny part of Nigeria. Forget it that Mr. Ahmed Lawan, is the Senate President. You understand? He's just the Senate President by virtue of the fact that the members decided to elect him. He wasn't elected by his constituents as the Senate President, because there's no provision in the law that says this is the time to elect Senate President. Nigerians elect. No. So if you're in Abuja and you are representing Enugu North, you are representing Imo State does not even have one senator. Deliberately, by natural happenstance of death. Unfortunately, Imo State is not fully represented. I think I don't know if one of the guys is in prison. The other one, I don't know whether he has been grabbed, he has been arrested by EFCC or whatever. So effectively, Abia State may have been represented by just one person, Yina Baribe. So it's like the entire Southeast, some of them that are even left that do not have cases with EFCC or are not in prison, they deliberately stayed away from the Senate because they are afraid of EFCC. That is just the reason. They can't tell us that they have a back. What is national service that your people are going to be denied of a benefit that is derivable from the national boss, and it's going to be there for the next 40 years? I am saying you went for national service. That is even enough to begin to recall them. The senators from this area should be recalled immediately. The senators from Edo State should be recalled. Where are they? At least you have 3 senators from Edo State. Where were they when their state was neglected, was not included? Are they not Nigerians? It is unfortunate. Tomorrow, the House of Rep members who are from the East, if they do not succeed in getting the House to correct the error that has been done by the Senate, because the Senate President saw it like a fight between him and Yina Baribe. When Yina Baribe stood up and said, this is wrong. Let us even take it step by step. They have not even started saying that the Southeast is excluded. They didn't allow him to even get up to that point. They shouted him down, and as God would have it, courageous and brave that he is, he walked out with a few of his other colleagues from the Southeast who were there. The rest of the bunch, the cowards, stayed away deliberately. There's no reason good enough, except if you are dead, if the person is dead, like the senator from my own side of Imo State, who is dead, unfortunately, or that you've been arrested by EFCC and you are in prison. These are the only exceptions. If you are in prison, it's a different thing. You cannot force the Abia State senator who is already in prison. The only thing you can say is that, why do you allow somebody who is in prison to continue to remain as a senator? Is that not a way of denying Southeast of their full representation? When you're saying the Southeast is not even fully represented in the National Assembly, and the few they have been thrown into jail and they're not being replaced, the one that has died over how many months, nothing has been done about, and they cannot even announce when the next election will take place. You remember Okigwe for about 2 or 3 years in the last dispensation stayed without a senator when they were having issues in court. When the senator was removed, nobody was sworn in, and it took like, the man who died was only sworn in less than 2 years to the end of that tenure, and within 2 years he left. He came in, he didn't spend up the year. Unfortunately, he died. So the Southeast is not adequately represented. But under the democratic principle, even if you have only one senator representing the whole Southeast, because it's already a systemic structural error designed by the military goons, the generals who wrote this constitution we call constitution. They were written by the military, and the military, majority of them were from the north. They favored the north. That's why people are saying we want restructuring. So let's even assume that we have only one senator from the east, representing over 60 million people. Is that the reason why you now want to do a vote and you say these people will not benefit, and you will now come back and say they have to be part of the repayment? Listen, we're saying no, it should not happen. The governor should go to court. The House of Rep members should walk out. They shouldn't stay there and allow that thing to be passed over their head. They should walk out, and we will demand to get the register of the Southeast senators that were present, so that we will publicize it. The Igbo-speaking people all over the world will know those senators who betrayed their trust. We're not saying attack them. We're saying these are the senators who did not represent you well. Don't attack them physically, but they must be either recalled or they should be rejected in the next poll. That is how democracy works. That is the reason why we're here. So we have said that in as much as we are not happy that Nigeria has gone back to become a heavily indebted nation, but since those who are in the position of authority have asked all of us to keep quiet, no matter all the noise Uruwa is making or all the noise anybody is making anywhere, we're not going to listen to you. We're going to pass this, the prayer or request of Mr. President to go all over the world and continue to borrow from everywhere we see. Then if you're going to borrow and you're going to build infrastructures that are national in nature, are you saying the Igbo people are not good enough for railways? Are you saying the Edo State people are not good enough for road infrastructure? Are you saying they're not good enough for electricity power? Are you saying they're not good enough to benefit from other national infrastructures that this humongous amount of money are going to be used for? If that is the case, what are you telling those people? That they are not part of Nigeria? Or what? Then why will you come back and ask them to repay the loan? I said the governors should go to court. If the governors refuse to go to court, I think the individuals themselves should file a class suit. You can file a suit on behalf of your family. I'll file a suit on behalf of my own family. We will not necessarily say on behalf of Uruwa, because it's not specifically the major thing we should be chasing. There are much more serious things. But for that region of the country, this is the biggest setback. Democratically, this is the biggest slap after the Civil War, after the pogroms that led into the Civil War. This is the biggest in terms of the consequences. that you're going to collect 22.7 billion. Anybody who is a statistician or a mathematician can calculate how much that amount is. This room is small to contain that amount if you put it in Naira denomination. And the quantum of strategic national assets that will be built under that money is so huge, and you're going to exclude the whole southeast of Nigeria. What is the message the government is trying to pass to us? To pass to the southeast. Yes. In as much as I said, it is not basically, it's not our central focus, but it's a fundamental human right infraction that our members have brought to our attention. That this is unfair, this is patently unconstitutional, this is illegal, this is criminal, this is primitive. This must not be allowed to happen. And if the president goes ahead with the apartheid style decision to borrow this kind of money, and he want to force the Southeast to repay the money they did not benefit, it should never happen. It should never happen. It should be written in black and white that the Southeast must not take part in the repayment of a loan that they're not going to benefit from, no matter what it will cost, no matter the cost of not paying the loan. People of the Southeast must refuse to repay this loan, except and unless the government of Nigeria decides to do the right thing, because this is corruption, this is abuse of power on the part of the president, which section 15.5 spells out. It's totally against. It's an abuse of power for the president that is elected by every Nigerian, because a president who is the president of Nigeria is not just elected by those who has given him positive votes. Even those who gave him negative votes have also elected him. Those who did not vote for Mr. President are also his constituents. So it is wrong for Mr. President to say only whatever percentage did not vote for you. These people didn't vote for you. These people voted for me, so I'm going to give you all appointment. No, he doesn't have the right to do that. Unless he's going to write his own Buhari's constitution. If it's a Nigerian constitution, you have no right to treat any section of the country as if they are second-class citizens. Nobody is a second-class citizen in this country. And if this policy is allowed to sail through, like the way it has succeeded in the Senate, it's a shame that you have a bunch of senators who have allowed this kind of apartheid policy to sail through. It's a shame on them.
The most unfortunate thing that is happening today is the fact that the Southeast lack leadership, because our elected leaders have failed us completely, and this is no longer the time to keep quiet. I urge every Easterner to begin to add their voice, because the country we live in, we owe it, we are part of it, and no one should tell us otherwise. And I'm using this opportunity to call on our elected members in the National Assembly that this is the time that they must stand for the people, because if they fail at this critical time, history will not be fair to them. A lot have happened, and one thing about what is happening, just like my comrade just said, is the fact that we're not even looking at the content of the loan, because when you look at the loan, the kind of loan that is being proposed, it's very unfortunate. It's only a country that doesn't believe in the future that will undertake this kind of process. Because when a government that have shown clear lack of discipline, fiscal discipline in any area, how can you? Even the document that was sent to the National Assembly, they couldn't even defend it. So, but it's unfortunate that we have the kind of leadership that does not care. But unfortunately, Nigeria is not living in isolation. And whoever thinks that you can do anything and get away with it, this is no longer the time.